share some of this with you and hoping that we can receive and attain and acquire some reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam reminds us about the virtues and merits of coming to the masjid to learn. He says in a beautiful hadith, مَجْتَمَعَ قَوْمٌ فِي بَيْتٍ مِّن بِيُوتِ اللَّهِ وَيَتْلُونَ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ وَيَتَدَارَسُونَهُ فِيمَا بَيْنَهُمْ إِلَّا نَزَلَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ السَّكِينَةُ وَحَفَّتْهُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ وَغَشَّتْهُمُ الرَّحْمَةُ وَذَكَرَهُمُ اللَّهُ فِي مَنْ عِنْدَهُ. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us in a beautiful hadith about the merits and virtues of coming to the masjid to learn about the Quran, to recite some of the verses of the Quran, to discuss some of the verses of the Quran, in which we will be doing this weekend. He says that there is not any group of people who come and do this in the houses of Allah except that tranquility will descend upon them, except that they will be overwhelmed with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy, except that the angels will come and they will hover above the gatherings in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name is being mentioned. And the best and most greatest fadl and virtue of all is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will mention the names of those inhabitants in a better gathering than this, in the gathering within the heavens amongst His angels. So we ask Allah to enable us to attain these great rewards this evening in this blessed gathering. And know and be reminded, may Allah have mercy upon all of you, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves all of you. And the sign that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves all of you is that you're here this evening. You want to learn something about your deen. You want to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a sign of success, that Allah wants goodness for you, that Allah loves you, that Allah is satisfied with what you're doing. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us, "Man yuridillahu bihi khayra yufaqqihhu fi din." That whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants goodness for, then He give him understanding in the religion. And the first step in gaining an understanding of the religion, my dear beloved brothers and sisters, is designating some time out of your busy days, your busy schedule, to come to the masajid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to come and learn and sit in the riyad min rawdat al-jannah, and to sit in the gatherings of paradise. And these are the gatherings of paradise here on the earth, the gatherings of the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are the ummah of Iqra. We are the ummah, we are the people who have the beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as our messenger, whose first command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was to read. We are those who should constantly try to seek religious knowledge. Constantly those who have our faces in books. Constantly have our faces in the book of Allah. Constantly trying to learn about the sunnah of the messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is a sign that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants goodness for us and loves us and wants us to be successful. So seeking religious knowledge, my dearly beloved brothers, is something that can raise our status, not only in this dunya, but also in the hereafter. In our dunya, our worldly affairs, we're always looking for a raise. We're always looking for a promotion. We're always looking for some type of recognition. But what about our deen? What about our status in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed all of you to come here this evening so that you can learn something about your religion and that you can have a raise in your status, not only in this world and the next, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَرْفَعِ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنْكُمْ وَالَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ دَرَجَاتٍ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raises those from amongst you who have been given knowledge, and those of you from amongst the believers, different degrees and different statuses. If there was anything better than seeking knowledge, and anything better than learning more about the religion of Allah, then Allah would have ordered His prophets to ask for it. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he received the first revelation in Ghar Hira, "Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq," with all of the things that were going on in his society, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, people were worshipping idols, People were fornicating, people were engaging in prostitution, people were addicted to alcohol, people were robbing each other, thieving. And the first thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the Prophet Muhammad to do was what? Iqra. He didn't address all of these social ills that were going on in his society, but he knew that the foundation of all of these social ills has to come with rectification from what? From knowledge, from wahi, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, if we want rectification in our communities, if we want to see our communities prosper and develop, and we want to be people of faith, then we need to start with what? We need to start with ilm. We need to start with religious knowledge. So tonight, alhamdulillah, our projector walked in the room, may Allah bless him, alhamdulillah. Tonight I'm going to share a little bit of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed me and facilitated. We want to put it over here so we can project on this wall if possible. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with as an ummah, as a Muslim community here in America with. And I wanted to share this light with all of you so that we can make this light grow more and more and add fuel to this light like a lantern. We can fix the lenses, we can make it sharper, we can make it brighter, we can spread it out farther. So this evening we're going to talk a little bit about the importance of sharing the light. Sharing the light of Islam with other people. Sharing the guidance of Islam with other individuals. First and foremost with ourselves, by seeking religious knowledge. Secondly, by sharing some of the things that we learn with our families. Thirdly, sharing it with our neighbors, with our communities. Which is something that I believe, after coming back from Saudi Arabia, after spending 12 years, I'm still traveling back and forth there, Mecca, Mukarramah. After coming back in the year 2015 to America, I recognized that there was a vacuum. There was a big lack of something in our communities. There was a big lack of dawah. Nobody's doing dawah in our communities. Or if we're doing dawah, it's only a few individuals from amongst the communities. And I had come to a conclusion that the reason and the cause for all of this Islamophobia, all of this hatred, all of this bigotry, all of this nonsense which is going on in America is because Muslims are not fulfilling their responsibilities and inviting people to Islam and sharing the light of Islam with other individuals. So this organization that we had established, which is called IMACD, or Islamic Ministries and Community Development. It's a 501c3 nonprofit organization registered in the state of Maryland. And we are a non-profit dawah organization. We focus on giving dawah to non-Muslims, but we also focus on giving dawah to Muslims as well. And some of the projects that we have been blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to initiate are, number one, alhamdulillah, we're based out of Hagerstown, Maryland. Alhamdulillah, we have a billboard initiative. Alhamdulillah, billboards have been running for over 6 months now. Alhamdulillah, we put billboards in the street about the good and wholesome and righteous things about Islam. So over 80,000 people a month drive by these billboards and they see things about Islam which may spark their curiosity, where they might go to the website, where they might make a phone call to receive a free Quran. So second thing that we initiated, alhamdulillah, from the blessings of Allah, is a food pantry. Yeah, no, we might need an adapter. Unless, can we do Bluetooth or mirroring or anything like that? You can figure that out, right? Yeah. Another thing we've established with you, which I've heard you guys have here in Durham, is a food pantry. Is that correct? You guys have a food pantry here. A food pantry, brothers and sisters, is one of the best ways that we can reach out to the people in need and give dawah. Don't just look at it. We don't just want to give people physical nourishment and food. We want to give people physical nourishment and food, but we want to give them spiritual nourishment as well. Everybody, churches and all of these non-profit organizations, they're giving people food. And they're still having the miserableness and the difficulties in their lives that they're going through. They need light, they need guidance. So one of the things we tried to establish, we tried to say, well, hey, we're giving these people food, but we need to give them something about Islam as well. We need to be available for them. If they have questions, if they have concerns, if they have suggestions or comments, then they need to have somebody available there where they can come and ask us about Islam. So anytime we give out a bag of food, we put a pamphlet about who is Allah. What is the concept of God in Islam? And many times they will call back. They'll keep coming back to get more information and more food at the same time. So that's another project. And you guys can do this as well. You've already had the food pantry, but we need to incorporate some dawah within this food pantry. Third thing that we've been blessed to do, alhamdulillah, we have a dawah vehicle. A dawah vehicle where we put some attractive statements on it which says worship the Creator, not the creation. Same message as Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad, to get people's attention. Some people may say, well, Brother Faruq, you're crazy. You're trying to make yourself a target. This could be true, but at the same time, the reason why things are the way they are here in America now, and there's so much Islamophobia, is because we're not doing enough. Nobody's taking that first step because everybody's afraid. But once somebody takes that first step, how do you feel when you're driving down the street and you see a billboard? Islam, religion of mercy, religion of peace, religion of justice, religion of goodness, religion of all of these. How do you feel? How does that make you feel? We can make it bigger, right? How does that make you feel when you drive down the street? It doesn't only spark the curiosity of non-Muslims, but it gives you a boost in your morale. It gives you a boost in your iman. Like, that's my deen. Alhamdulillah, that's talking about my deen right there. I'm proud to be Muslim. I don't have to be ashamed to be Muslim. I don't have to hide anything. I don't have to be scared to say that I'm Muslim or
column is going to be in the way the system. The column is going to be in their way.
We can.
Yeah.
Or,
It's going to move it away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes we put it on that wall. Even though
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Over there.
Yeah. And we got a.
You want to move
Hold
the
on,
table
Mike,
forward?
Yeah, move it forward to make it bigger, and maybe we can put the projector maybe here. Can the sisters see? If we put it here, we'd be able to see that. Let's try it, inshallah.
You only need the table. Okay, that's good.
How is that? Maybe up. Put it under some books, maybe.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's good.
Just get that. Yeah, mashallah. Alhamdulillah. So here we are, sharing the light. Alhamdulillah. I forgot to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the opportunity to be here, alhamdulillah. And secondly, thank the masjid and all the administration for facilitating our visit. Alhamdulillah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward them and place it on the scale of good deeds. So this is what we're going to speak about tonight and share with you this evening. So just some rules, inshallah. Those who have the ability, I would recommend that they would take notes and think critically and ask questions. Asking questions is very important in the learning process. As some of the companions used to ask Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, how did you acquire knowledge? How did you attain so much knowledge? Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he was from one of the best memorizers of the Quran, one of the best reciters of the Quran. He said, I acquired knowledge with a tongue which always asked questions and with a brain which was always thinking about things. So think critically and don't be shy, don't be afraid to ask questions. So, living in the USA, what is our purpose in life? What is our purpose in life? This is a question for the floor. What is our purpose in life? Anywhere, not only in America, but we're living in the USA. What is our purpose in life? Who can answer? To worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Right? I created the jinn and didn't create the jinn and the humankind except to worship me. Are we fulfilling that purpose now?
Yeah, right now, yeah.
How?
Obeying
Obeying Allah. Are we fulfilling that purpose to the best of our capabilities? Or, half and half? Mashi halik. How are we worshipping Allah? Everybody knows. This is a question, this is between you and Allah. Nobody can make a ruling on you or a judgment upon you how you are worshipping Allah. This is between you and Allah. Because why? Because number one, the main and important part of your worship is where? In your heart. Which is the root of the worship which manifests itself upon the limbs and upon the tongue. So nobody can look into your heart. Somebody could be outwardly praying. Look at, in the time of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, there were munafiqeen, right? Hypocrites. They would come to pray, they would act outwardly as though they were Muslims, but inside they were hiding what? Disbelief, kufr. So, it's what inside that is the asl of the human being, that is the basis and the foundation of the human being. And if, as the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, إِنَّ فِي الْجَسَدِ مُضَغَةً إِذَا صَلَحَتْ صَلَحَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّهُ وَإِذَا فَسَدَتْ فَسَدَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّهُ أَلَا وَهِيَ الْقَلْبُ. If the heart is sound, then the whole body is sound. But if the heart is corrupt and sick, then the whole body is sick. So, what are some ways that we can fulfill our purpose in life? What are some other ways that we can worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Alhamdulillah, we pray, we come to the masjid, we give our zakat, we make our hajj, we fast Ramadan, we make our umrah, we give our sadaqah on a regular basis, we enjoin the good, forbid the evil, we read the Quran. What else can we do? Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala legislate so many of these different types of worship? Why did Allah legislate so many of these different types of worship so that people can get closer to Him? People can gain a lot of reward. People can forgive their, Allah can forgive their sins. What's the wisdom behind that?
So the people are all the time in worship.
So the people are all the time worshiping. What's another reason behind that? What some people can do, other people can't do. Somebody who gives charity $100 a day, mashallah, Allah blessed him with a lot of money. He gives $100 a day, mashallah, to the poor. Other people haven't been blessed with that wealth. So they have to maybe fast. But the one who can give that $100 a day, he's so busy with working and things like that, and his investments and properties and things like that, that he can't fast. So it was easy for that wealthy individual to give charity, and it's easy for the one who doesn't have money to fast. Some people, it's easy for them to pray. Pray all the sunnah prayers and pray the witr prayer, pray the tahajjud prayer. Other people, it's not. So this is from the wisdom of Allah. Allah created people differently. Not everybody's the same. Not everybody's iman is the same. Our iman goes up and down. So Allah has legislated all of these different types of actions of worship so that He can make it easy for the people. You do the basic things, the 5 pillars that you're supposed to do, and then find some acts of worship that you can do within Islam that you can do what? Continuously and regularly. As Allah, as the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told us, he says, أَحَبَّ الْأَعْمَالِ إِلَى اللَّهِ أَدْوَمُهَا وَإِنْ قَلَّ. He said the most beloved actions to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are the small actions as long as they are what? Consistent. So, next question. Should other people know about that purpose? Should other people know about why Allah created us and why we worship Allah? And should they try to fulfill it as well? Yes or no? Should non-Muslims know why we're created? Why they were created? What's their purpose in life?
Yes.
Of course. If you have something good, if you have something valuable, if you have something worth more than anything in this world, why do you want to keep it to yourself? This is a capitalistic mentality that many people have been adapted and have been affected by. If you have something good, you give it to others, you share it with others. Take an example of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Anytime he was asked for anything, he would give it away without any hesitation. A man came and admired his jubbah, right, that he had on. He said, that's a nice thobe you have on, a nice robe you have on. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave it to him right away. Without any ask, well, do you need it? Oh, what's your financial situation? This, that. Right away. Who are our neighbors? Next question. Who are our neighbors? Some of us live in condominiums, some of us live in apartments, some of us live in, one single family houses, some of us, mashallah, Allah blessed with big mansions and things like that. Do you know your neighbors? Do you know their names?
No.
Is this Islamic behavior? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu Jibreel, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu, what did he say? He said, Jibreel used to come to me so much and advise me about my neighbor and remind me about the importance of taking care of my neighbor, that I thought that my neighbor was going to inherit me. He thought that his neighbor was going to be one of his relatives, one of his children, one of his brothers or sisters or somebody from his family. This is how a Muslim should understand their neighbors in Islam. Next question. Are all of our neighbors receptive to our invitations? How many of us have actually reached out to our neighbors? And your neighbors aren't only the people who live 40 houses this way or 40 houses that way or 40 houses this way or 40 houses. What about when you're on the bus? Anybody ride the bus? You have neighbors, but for maybe a half hour, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. All right? When you're at work, if you're working in a factory or working wherever you are, you have neighbors, right? When you're on the street, when you're driving down the street, you have neighbors. You're at the stop sign. You're at the stoplight. You're at the intersection. You're on the highway. All these people, they're neighbors, not in a long-term understanding, but in a short-term understanding. All of these people would fall into the category of somebody being next to you. Somebody that you should what? Never harm. Somebody that you should try to protect. Somebody that you should have good behavior towards. So, are there any other categories of people in regards to their position towards Islamic da'wah? You have some people, non-Muslims, who are very receptive. They want to listen to what you have to say about Islam. Other people, they have a closed mind. They say, don't talk to me about politics. Don't talk to me about religion. You have your religion. I respect it. I have my religion. You have to respect it. And life goes on. Right? That's the majority of the way people think here in America. So, this brings us, what is da'wah? This is what we're talking about tonight. What is da'wah? What is da'wah? Da'wah is an Arabic word which means what? To call people, to invite people, or to summon someone. Come here. Hey you. Hey buddy. Excuse me. Can I talk with you? How are you today? Anything from amongst the words that we use when we conversate can be used to initiate a conversation about what? About da'wah. Okay? What's the purpose of da'wah? What's the purpose of da'wah? That you are known, that you get to be known and become the greatest da'i, the greatest person who's made the most people accept Islam? That you have the biggest website, you have the most followers on Facebook, you have videos of everybody taking shahada every week and things like that. Is this the purpose of da'wah? What's the purpose of da'wah? MashaAllah. Ma'rifatullah. To share the knowledge of how people can know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, know their creator. And know why this creator deserves to be what? Worshipped. This is our duty. This is our job. Giving da'wah is also islah. Giving da'wah and through inviting people to Islam and teaching them about their creator and how he deserves to be worshipped, it also brings about rectification of our societies. This is the basis of rectification in our societies. So what are some benefits of giving da'wah? What are some benefits of giving da'wah? Number one, we fulfill our responsibilities as a Muslim. Is every Muslim responsible for giving dawah or no? Just the scholars and just the students of knowledge and the imams. They're the only ones who should be giving dawah. That's it. Nobody else can give dawah.
No.
Who should be giving dawah? Every single Muslim. What's the proof? بَلِّغُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً. An order, a command from the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Anytime the Messenger of Allah orders us with something, then we have to sami'na wa ta'ana. Khalas, that's it. You have to obey. Convey on my behalf, even if it is one verse, even if it is Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, even if it is Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, even if it is La ilaha illallah. But you're obligated. How many verses from the Quran or how many hadith have we shared with our neighbors here in America? This is a question we all need to ask ourselves. And we need to fulfill that obligation before we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the responsibility of giving dawah is upon everybody. Every male, every female. When the children reach of age, they will also be responsible as well. But anything you can do, and it doesn't only have to be done what? Verbally. So many ways of giving dawah. We think sometimes that dawah, is just giving a class, or giving a khutbah, or giving a halaq. So many ways you can not even imagine to give dawah. You put a sign on the back of your car, a billboard, or a bumper sticker, a dawah. You wear a t-shirt that says something that gets people thinking about Islam. We got to think out of the box. You got to think out of the box. Okay? Other benefits, spread the message of Islam all throughout the world. Many people are accepting Islam on a daily basis here in the West, in America, and things like that. What do they say? Every minute or something like that. Many people are accepting Islam. But, alhamdulillah, that's good and that's a blessing, that's a ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But one of the things which we need to work on is actually taking care of those Muslims, those new Muslims who accept Islam. When somebody comes, the brother took shahada, takbir, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, he comes for a week and then you never see him again. So this is a responsibility upon every single masjid, every single individual, every single masjid should have a committee formed to take care of the affairs of new Muslims, making phone calls. Hey brother, where are you? We haven't seen you. We're having a class today. Please come. We're having this class about how to make wudu, how to pray. We're going on a trip. We're going out to eat lunch. We're going to Dunkin' Donuts. We're going on a field trip. We're going to Connecticut. We're going to Florida. Come with us. This is what these new Muslims need when they enter into Islam. So Islam is spreading the message. Okay, the benefits of dawah, spreading the message of Islam all throughout the world. Alhamdulillah, I think Islam has probably reached every continent on the face of the earth. If there's people living on Antarctica, I don't know, but alhamdulillah, 6 of the 7 continents, alhamdulillah, Islam has reached there. Next benefit of giving dawah, spreading truth, justice, mercy, righteousness. And when we spread Islamic dawah, naturally, you will see all of the social ills start to what? Decrease. Recidivism will decrease. Look at how many prisoners are accepting Islam in prisons all throughout America. It will reduce injustice because Islam is what? Justice, complete justice. It will reduce transgression. Why? Because Islam is against transgression and oppression. It will remove open sin and immorality because people are not afraid to share the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with other people. Number 4, which is very important, and number 5 as well, spreading dawah and sharing Islam with other people removes doubts and misconceptions people have about Islam. Now, anytime a lot of non-Muslims see a Muslim wearing a thobe and a beard, automatically they label him as ISIS, he's from Daesh, he's a terrorist. So now not only has that affected the psyche of Muslims, where now Muslims are afraid to wear thobe, many of our brothers. Muslims are afraid to grow their beard. Even to some point where even the sisters are afraid to wear hijab when they go outside, out of fear, and this is a real fear, that they will be harmed, that they will be harassed, that they will be chaste or things like this. So, one of the main reasons why we have all of this fear and this Islamophobia is because we're not giving enough what? We're not giving enough dawah. Okay? And Islamophobia, which is the same thing, okay? It's fear portrayed by these hate mongers, okay? And those who dislike Islam and the Muslims, which is actually a $1 million organization, $1 million, I guess you can say, movement, which people are actually being funded to promote Islamophobia and hatred toward Islam and the Muslims. So Allah, He tells us in the Quran that no one is better, and there is no better statement than inviting people to Islam. As Allah says, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. Many benefits that we can learn from this verse. Number one, as Allah says, and who is better in speech than the one who invites people to Allah and does righteous good deeds and says, I am from amongst the Muslims. Okay? No better statement that you can say, utter on your tongue, than inviting people to Islam, inviting people to know about who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. What is the concept of God in Islam? Who is Allah? Where is Allah? What are Allah's attributes? What are His characteristics? What does Allah give you when you worship Him? What do you benefit when you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Nothing is better than this. But the second thing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the verse, وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا, which is very important. You're not just inviting people and talking to them about Islam and things like this. You actually have to believe that and have certainty in what you're calling the people to and practice it in your life. Practice it in your life. And the most important thing that Allah mentions in this verse, and you have to have a strong Muslim identity. You cannot be ashamed that you're Muslim. You come out loud and you say, and I am proud to be from amongst the Muslims. Just how it says in this verse. وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. I invite people to Islam. I do righteous good deeds. I practice what I preach. And I say I'm Muslim. And I'm proud to be Muslim. Because I know Islam is the haqq. And I don't have anything to worry about. If I'm a true Muslim, I don't have to worry about anybody coming knocking at my door. The FBI, the CIA, any of these organizations. If you're a true Muslim, what do? You pray 5 times a day. You read Quran. You fast Ramadan. You make Hajj. You give charity, you help the poor, you enjoin the good and forbid the evil. If you're a real Muslim, you don't have to fear anybody except for who? Except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another important thing, the responsibility of inviting others to Islam. Allah, He tells us in the Quran, "Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmati wal mau'izati al hasana wajadilhum billati hi ahsan inna rabbaka huwa a'lamu biman dalla an sabilihi wa huwa a'lamu bil muhtadin." Invite to the way of your Lord with what? With wisdom and fine preaching. Okay, wisdom is what? What is wisdom?
Putting things in the proper place.
To collect the wisdom.
Put matters in the proper context.
Mumtaz. Put matters, put knowledge that you have learned and acquired in the proper context, in the right time, in the right situation, under the right circumstances. This is wisdom. Using the knowledge that you have, that you've acquired, whether it's knowledge of revelation, knowledge of wahi, using that and applying that in the right place at the right time. You're not going to go to a Hindu and give dawah to a Hindu and talk to him about the relationship of Allah and Isa. Or you're not going to go to a Christian and start talking to him or giving him dawah about the Bhagavad Gita or things like this, right? Or Hare Krishna or these type of things. You're going to talk to him and give him dawah and open up the conversation and dawah in something that he can what? That he can relate to, that he's familiar with. This is part of what? Giving dawah with what? With hikmah. With hikmah. Okay? And a maw'idatin hasana, and a good admonishment and fine preaching. Okay? Sometimes many of us may feel shy to give dawah. It's something new. It's uncomfortable. You've been working with a coworker for 15 years, but not one word you've talked to him about Islam. How are you going to go on Monday morning and just open up a conversation about Islam with him. For many it might be difficult, it's uncomfortable, but I'll tell you this, many times success and many times good things come in those uncomfortable situations. Where that coworker might come to you and say, I've been waiting for you to tell me this. Why? I knew you were Muslim, and I've been waiting for you to come to me and talk to me about Islam for all this time, but you never came. So one thing that we need to use and constantly be reminded about what? Is putting our knowledge in the proper context and in the proper situations. Okay? Next thing, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told us, right, as I said, بَلِّغُ عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةٍ, that share what you know is correct about Islam and authentic about Islam. Don't talk to people about politics, what's going on between the different Islamic sects or in the countries and things like this. Get them to the root of Islam, which is what? Which is knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Always start, maybe you can spark a conversation about some things, right, which are going on or things like this, but always bring them to what? Bring them to the root, bring them to the asl of who is Allah, why it is important to worship Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists. Allah wants good for you. Okay? So Allah, He tells us in the Quran, share the light, right? And it's guidance from Allah. When you give dawah or you share Islam with other people, can you force them to accept Islam? Can you actually force somebody to accept Islam? What is our role? What is our job? What is our duty?
Convey the message.
Just conveying the message. That's it. All you can do is share. Share the light of Islam with others. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنْ أَعْرَضُوا فَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ عَلَيْهِمْ حَفِيظًا إِنَّ عَلَيْكَ إِلَّا بَلَاغٌ. But if they turn away to you, Allah was addressing the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imagine, the Prophet's receiving revelation. We don't receive revelation. Alhamdulillah, we read the revelation in the Quran, we read the Sunnah, which is revelation as well. But Allah is addressing the Prophet who received revelation. He says, even if they turn away from you, O Muhammad, then know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or you are not a guardian over them. You cannot protect them. You cannot help them. You cannot guide them. You can't even guide your uncle who protected Islam and the Muslims for so many years and protected you, Abu Talib. You can't even guide him. So all your job is to do is to what? Convey. Convey the light and convey the message of Islam. So there needs to be a selected group of people, okay, who specialize in giving dawah. Just how you have many different specializations in our worldly affairs, or even in the religion of Islam. You have scholars of fiqh, scholars of jurisprudence, scholars of usul al-fiqh, scholars of Islamic theory. You have scholars of tafsir, you have scholars of aqidah, you have scholars of lugha, Arabic language. We also have scholars who are specialized in giving dawah to non-Muslims. So Allah, He says, let there be from amongst you a group which enjoins all that is good and forbids all that is evil. And those will be what? Those will be the successful. So giving dawah and sharing the light of Islam with others falls into this category. Falls into what? Al-amr bil ma'ruf wal nahy anil munkar. Falls into the category of enjoining the good and what? And forbidding the evil. So what is the reward? What is the reward that we will receive if somebody is guided to Islam through you or through me, or through a billboard you put up, or through a sign you put up, or through a brochure that you printed, or through a book that you helped publish, or through a website you helped establish? What is the reward if somebody is guided through any of these things?
Whatever good they receive, we receive.
Number one, whatever good they do, you get reward for it. If they start praying 5 times a day, you get reward. If they start making hajj, you get reward. If they start giving charity, you get reward. Anything they do from amongst the righteous actions in Islam, you get a reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala waiting for you as well. But the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he told us, his cousin Ali ibn Abi Talib, he says, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides one person through you, then it is better than a whole lot, a whole herd of red camels. What were red camels? What was the equivalent in monetary form of red camels? What would you equivalent it to now in our days and time? A whole car lot filled with Bugattis. Any of you would want to have that? All of us, of course. Sell them and build masajid for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But this is the equivalent. Why did the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam mention camels? Because they knew he was talking with Bedouins. He was talking with Arabs who were shepherds of camels. They raised camels. They knew camels. They loved camels. Allah talks about the camels in so many verses in the Quran. أَفَلَا يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَى إِبِلِ كَيْفَ خُلِقَتْ. He says, don't you look and see how the camels were created. He knew that the Arabs, they depended upon camels for transportation, for food, for milk, for many of the things that help them in their daily lives. Same thing as a car or transportation helps us in our daily lives. So he talked with them in things that they could relate to. So if one person is guided to Islam through you, or through something that you facilitate or help or aid in giving da'wah, then the reward is as if you had a whole car lot filled of what? Of Bugattis, or Mercedes, or Lamborghinis, or Ferraris, whatever car you like.
The miracle is the better height.
Yeah.
It's better than that.
Yeah.
So the miracle is better.
No, it's even better than that. Right? It's even better than Bugattis and better than Lamborghinis. Maybe it's, what's the car better now? Tesla? May Allah help the owner. I heard he's in trouble now, right? So, better than that, brothers. So what is better than that? That's our true investments. Those are the true investments that we need to be investing in on the day of resurrection. Because when we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we're shrouded and we're washed and we're placed in our graves, we can't take these houses, we can't take all these cars, we can't take all of this money we have in our savings account. The only thing we're going to take is our good deeds, knowledge that we left behind, or we're going to benefit in our graves from righteous children that we raised who are making supplication for us. So this is our real investment. You never know. You could put up a billboard here in the parking lot, on the grass over there. So many people coming back and forth on this road. Put a two-sided billboard. One side, you just have every month, every 3 months, you change the billboard. It talks about Islam and it directs people to go to a website or call a number where they can have their questions answered about Islam. Other side, if you wanted to, you rent it out. So the billboard pays for itself. These are the type of things. And maybe 10 people accept Islam because you donated $1,000. That's all going to be waiting for you on the day of resurrection. You're going to be there on the day of resurrection. Your deeds are going to be weighed, the good and the bad, but then there's going to come this, boom, big lump of reward from that $1,000 that you donated, and 10 people accepted Islam for you, through you. So what are the consequences? We talked about what are the benefits of giving da'wah, right? So many benefits, endless benefits. Not only in this world, and to help us deal with the situations we're going through with Islamophobia and fear and hatred and things like this, but also in the hereafter. But, right? بِضِدِّهِ تَتَبَيَّنُ الْأَشْيَاء. When you look at the opposite, then things really become clear. So what are the consequences of not giving da'wah? Anybody can tell us? We talked about some of them. An increase in Islamophobia. What else? An increase in hatred, an increase in bullying in schools, an increase in harassment towards women, an increase in what? So many things. Okay? First and foremost, when we don't give da'wah, we're not fulfilling our responsibility with Allah. This should be the most important thing that we should be thinking about. When we're not sharing Islam with other people, we're not fulfilling al-mas'uliyah that is upon our shoulders. Second thing, people don't learn about Islam. Or people learn about Islam, but from the wrong sources. They learn about Islam through CNN and BBC and Fox News and CBS, instead of learning it from Masjid Ibad al-Rahman and the specialized brothers who have studied about how to give da'wah in Masjid Ibad al-Rahman. Third, we're deprived from reward. We don't receive any reward if we don't give dawah. Fourth, misconceptions keep spreading. Doubts keep spreading. Fifth, haters defame and disrespect Islam and Muslims. Six, Muslims are isolated from what? Society. And this is one of the reasons why I believe that we're in the situation that we are here in America. Is because a lot of us are scared. A lot of us fear sometimes. Fear for our children, fear for our wives. We fear that if we go into this area or that area, we may be harmed, we may be harassed, we may hear a comment and things like this. So what do? Naturally, we isolate ourselves. We don't go to those areas. So it's all a big cycle. Spread fear, spread hatred, spread bigotry, and that'll keep the Muslims in their masajid and they won't give dawah. So have we experienced any of this yet? Of course. All of us have. So let's take an intermission, inshallah, we'll pray. We'll call the adhan, inshallah. From the sunnah sometimes is to delay Isha, but I don't know, many of you probably want to eat. Yeah, 8:45? We have for the Iqamah, right? So how much time do we have? 20 minutes? Keep going?
9 minutes.
Huh? 20 minutes, inshallah, okay. So,
Do you want to make the day?
it's up to you guys. I'm a guest, so
We usually make your day, doesn't continue.
it's up to you guys. Whatever you guys is you're comfortable with. You want to wait? Okay. So, questions. Whose responsibility is it to give dawah? We already talked about that. Who? Everybody's responsibility. What are some benefits of giving dawah? We already talked about that. What are some consequences of not giving dawah that you have seen in your community? Here in Durham. What you've seen in Durham is different than what I've seen in Hagerstown, or what I've seen in Connecticut, or what I've seen in New York, or New Jersey, or Pennsylvania. What are some things that you've seen in your community here in Durham, and what are some solutions that you can provide to change that? What are some things that you guys can do? This is a question for the floor. Sisters, brothers, what are some things that you can do? Pass the mic around.
Engage the people.
Engage the people. Who? Non-Muslims?
Non-Muslims.
How?
Verbally, physically, helping through pantries and food and conversation. They don't get any of this.
MashaAllah. Conversating with non-Muslims.
They get the pantry. Though.
They get the food,
Yeah.
but they just get a bag of food,
Right.
and then they leave. Do you take their phone number? No. Do you take their email? No. Majority of the food pantries that I've seen, alhamdulillah, we're an exception. Because I learned from experience. Just food, just giving out the food. What are we benefiting? Alhamdulillah, we're benefiting, but what are we really benefiting when we want to reach out to those people? It's called outreach, right? How are we going to reach out to that person when he never comes back to share the message of Islam with him? So small techniques, small things that we can do to make the good things that we're doing even better. To shine up the, the brass, right? To make it, more palatable, to make it better. So now we have a food pantry, make a list. Okay, and all the recipients of the food pantry, name, phone number, email, contact information, what they received, maybe a waiver, and then what can you do with that information? You can apply for grants. It's not only benefiting you, you're going to send emails to these people, give them an Islamic reminder, a little bit about an open house you have in the masjid once a month for non-Muslims to come in and learn about Islam. They get that email and they come, and then they have a dinner afterwards and things like this. But also you have their phone number. You can send them a text, a little 1-minute video. Who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What are the benefits in Islam? All of these things. But if you don't get that information, you're not going to be able to do that. Second thing you can do with that list, let's say you have over a month, you've fed 300 people. After a year, after 6 months, you can take that information and go to social services or go to the food bank of the state of North Carolina and say, we want you to supply the food for this food pantry so that we can feed the poor in our neighborhood. So that's another thing that we can do. Okay, what else? What are some other things that we can do?
Once announcing my business, right? I had some dawah material, and on the front of the page, it says how to be happy.
MashaAllah.
Wallahi, the customers, they're mostly non-Muslims. Can I get one of those? Can I get? They were all going in like a couple of days.
Alhamdulillah. That's from using wisdom. That's from using wisdom. Sometimes when you give dawah, sometimes when you want to share a pamphlet with somebody, don't give them something which is right direct in their face, right? Give them something that will spark their curiosity. How can I be happy? Yeah, of course I'm going to open this book up. Who doesn't want to be happy? Or something like, remove all of your hardships and depression and problems in this book, for example. And then it all talks about who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You want to call that? Okay. So there's still some more left. I don't know, maybe we can have another time, maybe. If we have time, maybe, I don't know.
How much time you need?
Yeah, we got a lot of slides left. I don't want to do it now though, because I don't want to, hold the brothers and sisters for food and things like that. But
You can go after Isha.
if people are interested, I don't want to overwhelm them. But the second part basically is about who is trying to prevent and hinder the spread of Islamic dawah. What are the organizations? What are the groups? How much are they spending? So, inshallah, we'll call the adhan and we'll eat, and then maybe we can. How many of you would be interested in continuing after Isha? So show of hands.
Maybe after dinner.
After dinner, after dinner. After dinner, inshallah, whoever's here, inshallah, we'll continue. We'll continue after Salat al-Isha. Or if there's a time tomorrow, I don't know.
Tomorrow we have another
Full schedule. Okay. So we'll continue after dinner, inshallah.
We're planning to come Isha and come at 8:45, so we still have a few more minutes.
What time is it now?
8:27.
8:27. Okay. So he's going to call that then, and we'll keep going until the Iqamah, inshallah. SubhanAllah.
Allah.
Realize that there are people who are spreading Islamophobia, people who are spreading anti-Islamic dawah, people who are spreading hatred about the Muslims. Because when we realize that and recognize some of these people and organizations and how much money that they're spending for the sake of the shaitan, then we will realize how much more work we have to do in dawah to spend in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So at its core, the United States of America is a nation built on a few fundamental values. One of them, which many of us are familiar with, is the freedom of what?
Religion.
The freedom of religion. Okay? The values of freedom of religion and basic civil liberties are enshrined in the Bill of Rights and have been upheld time and time again by the U.S. Congress and courts. These core values and many more have formed the backbone of an inclusive, multi-dimensional society for nearly 250 years. Muslims have been living in America for how long now? It's a big, debate. Some people say, over 200 years, over 250 years, over 300 years. Some people say recently. So Muslims have been living in America for a while now. But the hatred and the Islamophobia which we have been experiencing was never what it was in the past, what it is what?
Now.
What it is now. Okay? So very recently, within the past 10 years, many minority groups and specifically the Muslims have been targeted, profiled, or seen as suspect. Why? Strictly because of their religion. No other reason. So just as there are those who support Islamic dawah, there are also those who try to hinder it, who try to stop it, and who try to prevent it. So who are they? Anybody know? Should we be familiar with them or no? Not important. Why or why not? Right? When you know your enemy, you know who to be cautious of, who to be smarter around. You know who not to share every single secret that you know about with. Allah, He tells us that there will be people who will try to prevent the spread of Islamic dawah. As Allah says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُمْ لِيَصُدُّوا عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran that those who disbelieve, they are spending their wealth to avert people from the religion of Allah. Why did Allah say yunfiqun? And He didn't say nafaqa or anfaqu? Because they have been doing it since the time of what? Since the time of Shaitan and Iblis. Since the time of Abu Lahab. Right? And it's going to continue. So it is something natural that we need to accept and we need to deal with, and we need to know how to what? I'm not going to say we need to know how to counter it, because we shouldn't be reactive. We should be what? Proactive. We don't move this way or move that way because somebody did something or somebody didn't do something. We keep moving ahead. Right? You keep your eyes on the prize and keep moving ahead. Don't be caught up with the dogs barking behind you. Keep moving. Keep looking. Keep going ahead. But Allah, He says in the verse, فَسَيُنْفِقُونَهَا ثُمَّ تَكُونُ عَلَيْهِمْ حَسْرَةً ثُمَّ يُغْلَبُونَ وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا إِلَى جَهَنَّمَ يُحْشَرُونَ. So Allah, He says that they will spend their money to avert people from the way of Allah. But in the end, what will happen? They will spend it, but then it will be a source of regret for them. How many people have we seen just in this dunya who've tried to harm Islam and the Muslims and then they end up accepting Islam? Those guys who, from Denmark, if it's true, the one who started the cartoon drawing of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they say, it's all over social media, I don't know if it's true or not, but they say he's accepted Islam. Many other people who tried to what? Let's talk about even in the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and after him. Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, one of the biggest and staunchest enemies against the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he wanted to kill the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And look how the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam made a dua to Allah. Oh Allah, guide the most beloved Omar to you, to Islam. And it was Umar ibn al-Khattab. So people spending their wealth and exerting their efforts trying to avert people from the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is something natural and something we need to accept, but at the same time we need to know how to deal with it and how to strategize, how to organize, how to combine our efforts, how to unite our efforts, and how to work together upon tawheed and ittiba' and solidarity. So there is a network of 37 organizations, okay, that have spent and are spending millions of dollars to spread their message of hate of Muslims throughout the world. Not only here in the West, but all throughout the world. Okay? Islamophobia is making lives of Muslims difficult by turning our neighbors against us. Many of us probably, if we were living and practicing before September 11th, our neighbors loved us. We had very good relationships. Then after September 11th, everything changed. Now we're terrorists. After the thing with ISIS now, recently, before that, our neighbors loved us. We would always have a conversation and talk and things like this. But now, since this Islamophobia has been increasing and increasing, now the same neighbors that you used to talk with and sit down with and have a conversation with, and your kids used to play together and used to drink tea and coffee together, they don't want your kids playing with their kids. They don't want to drink tea with you. They don't want to drink coffee with you anymore. So just last year, and all of you are probably familiar with this, I don't know if anything happened in North Carolina, but so many incidents happened last year because of what? Because of Islamophobia. Because we're not giving dawah. Over 9 mosques a month were targeted with vandalism, threat, or arson. And statistics say that 83% of non-Muslims here, all throughout America, they do not like Islam, nor do they have a positive opinion about the Muslims. Okay? So, let's just look at some of the cash flow. Okay? These are just some of the organizations that are spending a lot of money to spread Islamophobia. One of them is the Donors Capital Fund and Donor Trust.
Can you expand the slides?
Let me see. Can we make them bigger? How?
Bottom right.
Bottom right. Oh, here, okay. Jazakallah khair. So, Shaykh Foundations is donating $10 million a year. Lind and Harry Bradley Foundation, $6,540,000. William Rosenwald Family Fund, Middle Road Foundation and Abstraction Fund, $4 million. Fairbrook Foundation, $1 million. Russell Berry Foundation, $3 million. Newton D. Rochelle F. Becker Foundation and Charitable Trust, $1 million. Allen and Hope Winters Family Foundation, $817,000. A total of how much? $56,900 is being spent on a yearly basis for the spread of what? The spread of Islamophobia. Who are the people who are doing it? 56 million. Did I say that?
You said 56,000.
I'm sorry, $56 million. $56 million is being spent yearly to spread Islamophobia and hate about Muslims. Question before we move to the next slide. How much money have our masajid allocated for giving dawah in their budgets? I'm not gonna, no comment about that. This just puts things into perspective now. How much have we allocated? Some messages don't even have a dawah budget. So this is how it works. They have scholars, okay, academic people. They promote their Islamophobia, okay. Then they have validators, okay, who say that, oh yes, this is right what they're saying. Islam is a religion of terrorism. Islam is a religion of hatred. Islam is a religion of extremism, blah, blah, blah. So they have these validators who come and validate what they're saying. Then they have the activists, okay? So the scholars, and from amongst them is a man who's well known, probably, I don't know if you've heard about him, but Frank Gaffney, okay? And another one, Robert Spencer. Robert Spencer is an individual who studied the Catholic faith in a university, and he is looked at as a specialist in Islam. He is looked at as a specialist in Islam, and anytime the American government or anybody has an issue related to knowing anything about Islam, they refer to him. They don't refer to a Muslim. And these people, they are non-Muslim, okay? Some of them were Muslims, but then they left the religion of Islam. One of them is the lady Bridget Gabriel. I don't know if you've seen any of her speeches or anything like this. Pamela Geller, David Horowitz. Okay, David Horowitz Foundation is one of the biggest foundations which is funding the Islamic hatred and Islamophobia. So what are their attitudes towards Muslims? Okay, American attitudes towards Arabs and Muslims. Okay, both. Favorability ratings for Arabs and Muslims in the United States have been on a steady decline in recent years, posing a potential threat to the rights of Arab Americans and American Muslims. So you see, it's going down. All right? How does Islamophobia work? Okay? How does Islamophobia work? You have the funders, those people who are donating $56 million a year. Okay? Then you have those people who are misinforming the public. Those scholars and those validators and those activists. And then, okay, it funnels out and comes through what? Okay, the right, the political players, okay, all the representatives and things like grassroots organizations, okay, the media, Fox News, okay, David Horowitz, Washington Times, the National Review, Rush Limbaugh, I'm sure many of you have heard of him, okay, Mike Savage, Glenn Beck, Mark Levin, Byron Fisher. These are just some, okay, of those who are amplifying the fear of Islam and the Muslims in America. And then it is where? It is sent to the public, to the masses, okay? And also there's legislations and laws, as you know. So the Islamophobia that's going on is not just on a small scale. It's on a big scale. How many states have they prohibited Sharia law? How many states have they discriminated against Muslim women wearing hijab in the workplace? Or discriminated against Muslim men for growing a beard? Or discriminated against Muslim men or women because they want to pray at their time of prayer? So it's at a bigger level. How many Muslim relatives that many of us may have who want to come to America, but they can't because of the ban. So you see, it's on a big level. It's on a big level. It's on a big level, higher level. So these are just some of the states in which there are anti-Sharia bills. Okay? So when we say the word Sharia, should we be scared or should we be afraid? Many of us are afraid now. Many imams are scared to say Sharia. What else? What's the other
Jihad.
taboo word? Don't say it.
Jihad.
Jihad. We should not be scared to say these words if we have knowledge about how to explain them. Okay? The way that they interpret jihad, these Orientalists and these Islamophobes, they interpret jihad, the way they interpret it is deficient and completely incorrect. Because they only take one aspect of the meaning of jihad and apply it to all the aspects and the whole practice that it has in the religion. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he told us the biggest jihad is what? Jihad is nafs. You struggling against the forces of shaitan. You fighting your blanket at Fajr time to throw your blanket off of you so you can come to the masjid and pray. Many of our young, enthusiastic, and maybe emotional brothers, they say, I want to go fight for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they can't even pray 5 times a day in the masjid. How are you going to go fight for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you can't even fight the shaitan who has the blanket over you and you can't even lift it off you to come and pray for you? So these are just some of the states who have actually passed laws to ban Sharia law. If somebody comes to ask you, what is Sharia law? What do you say? Because now all that they talk about is Sharia law, cutting off the hand, cutting off the head, whipping the fornicator, whipping the one who drinks alcohol. That's Sharia law. Oppression of women. Women have to wear hijab. They're oppressed by their husbands beat them, blah, blah, blah. All of this garbage. Stoning. Right? Sharia law is saying Bismillah before you drink water. Sharia law is entering into the masjid with your right foot, exiting with your left. Sharia law is cleansing yourself after you use the bathroom. Sharia law is dressing modestly. Sharia law is smiling in your brother's face. Sharia law is helping the poor. Sharia law is caring for the orphan. All of these things are what? Sharia law. So don't be scared or frightened to respond when people try to only restrict Sharia law to these 5 or 6 things which these Islamophobes have taken and have constantly been spreading in the media. So we'll stop here, inshallah, and we'll pray Isha, and then we'll eat dinner, inshallah, and then for the brothers who are still here, we'll continue on and finish up the lecture, and then inshallah, time permitting, we'll take questions and answers. Jazakallah khair wa barakallahu feek. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.